Hello, I'm Nima Rajan, and this is the News Forum's COVID-19 update for Thursday, April 30th, 2020. The Parliamentary Budget Officer is set to release the numbers relating to Canada's COVID-19 response. The PBO says it is likely that the federal deficit will hit over $252 billion. An estimate suggests that around $146 billion was spent on coronavirus emergency relief. The federal debt to GDP ratio is expected to reach over 45%. Now, even as COVID-19 threatens the healthcare system of many countries, emergency rooms across Canada are empty. ERs across Canada have seen a 30 to 40% drop in visits. This as elective surgeries have been postponed or cancelled. However, hospitals in Quebec are struggling with an influx of COVID-19 patients. As of Wednesday, nearly 1,700 people are being treated for COVID-19 in Quebec hospitals. This as the province begins to move towards reopening the provincial economy. However, even though hospitals may be dealing with an influx of patients, the healthcare system has been battling to find enough masks. The provincial government engaged in a deal with a company which would have provided enough N95 respirators for the foreseeable future. However, that deal backfired. While the Ontario government did not lose any money, the situation highlighted the Wild West aspect of medical procurement. 1 million masks were procured from China, but they were found to be faulty. Well, this as reports have come out that the Chinese government used organizations linked to the governing Communist Party of China to stockpile medical equipment. This move allowed the Chinese government to stockpile PPE at low prices before the true extent of the coronavirus was revealed to the world. Countries that provided medical supplies to China in January and February then had to compete with each other for medical supplies from China from March onward. Now, the coronavirus has affected every aspect of society, from geopolitics to those who don't have homes. Canadians who are homeless have had to make difficult choices, risking crowded shelters or an $880 fine. The plight of Canadians without homes has become more pronounced during the lockdowns. In the U.S., over 30 million Americans have applied for unemployment insurance benefits. Roughly 1 out of every 5 people who had a job in February is now unemployed. This is a setback for economic progress in the U.S. Millions who had risen out of poverty, including minorities and less educated workers, are now back in the grips of the poverty cycle. Unemployed workers will still have choices to make between work and health. As states reopen their economies, unemployed workers will need to make a decision. If they go to work, they may be infected with the coronavirus. But if they stay at home, they will lose on unemployment insurance benefits. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is getting more involved in the fight against the coronavirus. The Pentagon is increasing production of the coronavirus testing swabs. The investment will double the number of test swabs manufactured. This as the U.S. head of infectious disease warns that sports will not return to normal anytime soon. Dr. Anthony Fauci said that it may be a year before sports return to normal. Non-contact sports may be able to resume before contact sports do. Now, in Europe, the coronavirus pandemic is increasingly coming under control. However, the economic costs are beginning to set in. While Spain has recorded its lowest death rate in a month, the economies of Europe are in decline. France and Italy are in recession, while Spain sees a record drop in GDP. The GDP in the European Union dropped 3.5% in the first quarter of 2020. French GDP dropped 5.8%, which was the biggest drop since 1949. Meanwhile, the German economy is expected to shrink 6.3% in 2020. Germany has long been seen as the economic engine of Europe. The head of the German Institute of Economic Research said that talk of recovery in 2021 is just wishful thinking. The Japanese Prime Minister has said that unless the pandemic is contained, holding the Olympics next year will be impossible. The event has already been postponed once, but experts suggest that a vaccine will not be ready anytime soon. However, South Korea has reached a new milestone. The South Korean government has reported 0 domestic infections. In Australia, the government will keep its travel ban, despite a notable reduction in coronavirus cases. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has said that Australia will move towards a COVID-safe economy and society. International travel, mass gatherings, and sports events are unlikely in the near future. Meanwhile, after taking vigorous measures to lock down New Zealand, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said that she was able to touch base with the Queen and personally update her on the situation. New Zealand has started to emerge from a strict lockdown that lasted over a month. That lockdown was lifted on Tuesday. Well, Russia has seen another spike in cases. Thursday was the first day that the coronavirus cases were registered across all 85 regions in Russia, bringing the total infection numbers to over 100,000. In Hong Kong, the threat of the coronavirus seems to be subsiding, but the headache for the central communist government may just be beginning. As the coronavirus threat recedes, protesters are again filling the streets of Hong Kong. The Hong Kong protests started as a reaction of what they considered to be a violation of the rights and freedoms of Hong Kong by the central Chinese government. And as the coronavirus continues to absorb the attention of the world, a spotlight was shone upon a birthday party in the UK. Captain Tom, a 100-year-old veteran, was honored with an RAF flyby, a personal message from the Queen herself, and receiving an honorary promotion to colonel. Captain Tom, as he is known, raised over £30 million for the National Health Service. Well, I'm Nima Rajan, and this was the News Forum's COVID-19 update for Thursday, April 30th, 2020. Please remember to do your part to flatten the curve, save lives, and conserve our healthcare system.